Live from Happy Valley Studios, this is the MCS1 show. And now your host, the guy who voted for Nader twice, MCS1.
Welcome. I have a special guest with me today. Caleb is not present, but I would like to introduce my good friend Mike Curtis. Hello, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
And today we have a very special show planned for you. So, for my opening remarks, I want to say the last couple of weeks, I have been randomly trying to get an interview in with somebody from Occupy Provo, and every single time it has fallen through. It's been awful. It's either I couldn't go or they scheduled a protest and they didn't show up.
Yeah,
and I was really upset with it. So I actually went with Mike up to Salt Lake a while ago, and we saw Occupy Salt Lake, and we'll share some of the stories that we had. And I tried to get an interview up there with some people, but every time I mentioned the word interview, like they kind of cringed a bit.
yeah.
So today's episode is called Into Occupied Territory.
Woo.
And yeah. So first of all, I want to talk about Mike for a moment and his project. So Mike, tell me, like, just basically summarize and talk about your project. Don't be afraid to go in depth and share some details too, actually, because you have some really, really cool stories from this experience, and I feel that these need to be shared.
All right. Okay. So I'm taking a photography class at BYU, and for a final project, the professor the whole semester was like, "You got to do something thought-provoking and something really deep." And so I thought, hey, I don't know anything about these Occupy guys, and so I was going to go interview them for my final.
Which I think that's really good. It's really original, and it's something that doesn't happen at all. Like, one thing that the Occupy people, they told us when we were up in Salt Lake, it's like they were the biggest protest since the hippies, which is nothing really to be particularly proud of.
I love how they they were like, oh yeah, we're the best thing since the hippies. Like, they were some sort of cultural icon. But anyway, yeah. So I picked the Occupy guys. I thought it'd be better than puppies and rainbows. So
Lisa Frank.
Actually, that would have been a crazy project. Yeah, anyway, maybe for the next time. But but yeah, no. So I just said, hey, I wanna see what's up with the Occupy movement. I'd never in my life looked at like a political issue and actually gone and talked to the people involved and like formed my opinion that way. So I wanted to get, for the first time, the real opinion, or form my own opinion from the people involved with Occupy. So, which
is really cool because, like, I when I was trying to get an interview for them on the show, I wanted to see how much, because the media does distort a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
and we only always get one side of something in news stories, and I try to come from a fairly moderate type of unbiased thing. But after dealing with these kids, and we'll explain further on, now I am biased.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was gonna say,
but I like what you did there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I didn't really do the movement because I'm at all supporting that. I just want to know what was up,
which is cool.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, I picked a day to go photograph the Occupy Provo. You had told me about the Occupy Provo.
Yeah, they had a website,
and so I looked on the website and I went, and I was like, hey, I should check out Occupy Salt Lake too. Just happened to be the day.
Yes, this day is epic. Please tell us and share the details.
Yeah,
and talk about some of the pictures that you took from this, because I saw some of the shots and they are just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So this day, the police were actually going to kick out all the Occupy Salt Lake protesters out of Pioneer Park where they were camping because a man actually died there from a drug overdose.
Oh, what?
Yeah, like, and I guess he had a space heater in his tent and the carbon monoxide poisoning or something like that.
But a drug overdose was the cause.
Yeah, drug overdose.
Okay.
And so the police were like, "You guys aren't providing a safe environment, so we're gonna kick you out." So
this isn't the 60 Minutes daycare, people.
I didn't realize that they were gonna do that day. I just picked a random day, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, I gotta go to Salt Lake
right
and
place
do
at
this."
the right time.
I know, exactly. So I took some pictures of the people. I like some of the one of the pictures is a portrait of this girl, Jessica. I think that's my favorite portrait.
Okay.
I just think it looks cool. She was really funny, and like I was talking to her, just asking some questions about Occupy, and as we were talking, this guy walks up to us, and seriously, in the middle of our conversation, like had no regard for stopping for when we were done with our conversation, just butted right in and was like, "You guys are uneducated because you don't know. If you knew what you were talking about, you would believe this, and this," and start talking to him. And
it's crazy that someone just comes in and is just like, "Whoa!" and just starts like dropping bombs like that. And crazy.
He was seriously like no remorse. Like, I'm going in there to like cut some throats politically.
He woke up in the morning, put on his shoes, and he's like, "I'm gonna go tear down Occupy."
I think so, because he was seriously.
He looked in the mirror and he said, "I have a mission."
I think so, because and like after a while I was like, "Yeah, man," because he started like arguing with me, and I was like,
"You don't care?
You're taking pictures, like, not here." And he was like, "Okay," and so then he moved on to other people that would actually argue with him. But,
so he was kind of going in looking for a fight.
Yeah,
it's like going to like a Trekkies convention dressed up like Darth Vader kind of thing. Is that
like
is that
Frodo.
what this is?
Yeah. He was kind of ridiculous, but I was really impressed actually with the Occupy Provo guys. They were really calm about it.
Tell our viewers about the guy, the veteran, that you told me about.
Yeah. So one of the guys there was this old veteran. He had a hat on from like an Air Force. He was an Air Force veteran, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Hey, why did you decide to come out here?" And he was like, "I'm a bus driver, and every day I see kids come on my bus, and I want them to have a good country, have them have a good life."
That's kind of cool.
And he the only reason why he was there was just to celebrate the fact that he had
the right to protest. And
yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool, actually.
Even his poster was like, it didn't have anything political on it. It was just a quote by Thomas Jefferson that was like, like, "We live in a country of people, of the majority that participate, not just the majority," kind of a thing.
Somehow a Tea Partier got in the mix.
Yeah, which who knows how that happened. But
yeah.
He was a really cool guy. Don't worry though, there's a fair share of crazies there too, though.
Oh, okay.
We had
if you want to talk about them, feel free.
So I go to talk to the guy that kind of looks like he was in charge, that kind of looked like he knew what he was talking about. And I walk up and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here for this photography thing." Started asking him questions, and originally my idea was to ask them, if you were in charge, what would you do? To fix your problem? Because
that's something I kind of wanted to ask them too. I wasn't going to ask a question like trap them, but I felt like that's a very legit question.
And I noticed by all my interviews with all of them that you're never going to get an answer. I mean, you'll get a different answer from each person, but like as a movement, you won't get an answer.
Oh yeah.
Occupy Provo was actually the most coherent
group. Like normal.
They were actually protesting something as opposed to just like.
Tell us about Salt Lake.
Salt Lake. Oh man. So, well, let me finish this story about.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, "What would you do if you were in power? What would you different?" And he's like about to respond when all of a sudden this guy with a beanie runs into our conversation as well. I got interrupted a lot through this experience.
Oh man.
He was like, "You do not have to answer that question." And the guy was kind of like, "Whoa, it's not that big of a deal." And he was like, "No, you don't have to answer it because that's a common trap they put you in." That,
oh, jeez.
He believed, and I think that a lot of them believe this, that it's not his, like, he didn't break the system, so it's not his responsibility to fix it.
Yeah,
like, it's his responsibility to point out, "Hey, you did this wrong." But anyways, I thought that was really interesting because that kind of explained to me why a lot of people don't feel like they have to have like specific demands.
Oh yeah.
Although I feel like it weakens a movement a lot, but
yeah, unless you have like specific demands or whatever, it's not really going to go anywhere. If it's like too general, it's like no one knows what you stand for, and then you're just kind of looked at like the unaware kids.
Yeah, which is a lot more prevalent in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So I went up there, and it was like a few hours until they were going to kick him out. The police gave him until the end of the day to get all their tents and stuff out.
Okay.
And so it's like in the afternoon, and everyone is freaking out. Like it's kind of like snowing a little bit, and like people are just like, I don't know if I should go or if I should stay. And then like other people, I'm serious. It was like a cheesy movie. It was the bomb. Like other people were like, don't lose faith. You gotta keep going. You gotta give your life for this cause.
Give your life for this cause.
Oh man,
the unknown cause.
It was crazy. I was like, oh man, did I just like step into some like action flick or something? Like
all of a sudden Schwarzenegger comes out. I will save you all.
I will save all protesters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I interviewed 2 guys in Salt Lake, and the smell of marijuana definitely was
present
with us. Yeah. So it was,
oh boy.
And
this isn't looking good for Occupy's PR right now, is it?
He told me that the occupiers in in Salt Lake were kind of split into 2 camps.
Okay.
There was half of them were the actual protesters.
Okay.
That knew what they were talking about, and then the other half were like homeless people there for the ride.
Oh, because so they're like, I wonder how this worked out, because they're like, okay, true occupiers, go over here, and then like they see someone who kind of looks homeless, they're like, oh, we have a special camp just for you.
Well, like it was kind of crazy because everyone was talking seriously, like, what am I going to do? Like, I can get arrested and whatever, and they're having a serious conversation, and then all of a sudden, like a drunk person would stumble in and be like, we gotta stay strong, and like it was kind of funny to see people like agree with the drunk person, but kind of like ignore them at the same time,
but not take them seriously.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, you're right, but man, you've had too many.
Exactly. So and anyways, this guy explained to me that the person that had died before, he believed was one of the homeless guys.
Oh,
that was just there for the ride. And so it was kind of crazy because everyone was like, oh man, the police were just looking for an excuse because they kept telling me like over 50 people died in like homeless people died in Salt Lake last year, and the police didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
But now that like a homeless guy dies in Pioneer Park, it's the Occupy movement's fault. So that's how they felt about it.
Well, I can understand where they're coming from. I can also understand where the city's coming from as well.
Exactly.
Because there's like an Occupy name brand type thing.
Well, that's why it was so good to do this project for me, I feel, because I got kind of the both sides.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like,
you're going in with no bias.
Everyone that saw the news reports were like, yeah, kick them out because they're like living in their own feces and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Which wasn't true. Like, I mean, some of the drunk homeless people were, but like not all of them.
Yeah.
So that was cool, but. Anyways, I just kind of waited for the showdown to happen, and like it was super crazy because I was sitting there with my camera and I was like, man, do I look like a homeless protester? Like, am I gonna get arrested too? But all of a sudden the police chief came with some policemen and they just walked into all the people and they started talking to them like, hey, we need you guys to get out. If you want to get, which I thought was really interesting. He was like, if you want to get arrested as part of your movement, like we can arrange that. it was really weird. Like he was like,
for the
he's
PR,
like, if you want to get arrested, just come talk to me. We can do that. So
yeah.
So I thought I was kind of like, oh man, this is gonna be lame because it was just like the police chief like talking to him.
Yeah.
And then
it's like Commissioner Gordon walking up to like the Joker or something, and then being like, "Now, Joker."
Let's calm down.
Let's calm down a minute and let's take this rationally. Now, if you want to get arrested to get on front of the Gotham Herald, we can arrange that. It's ridiculous.
So I'm seriously thinking about like packing up and leaving. I had taken some pictures of the guys I had interviewed and stuff, and then I noticed that they started barricading, like blocking off the street.
And this is when the good stuff starts coming.
Oh my gosh! So they barricade the street, and I see a couple cop cars. I'm like, oh, I guess those cop cars are for the Occupy movement. Like within like 20 minutes, there were 50 cop cars lining the south road, like lining the park. And I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden, these like buses come in, and there's like 2 huge buses and 2 like mobile command units.
Mobile command units.
Oh my gosh, I just love the name of that. For heaven's sake, like that even just sounds
mobile
command unit. Like why 2? I don't know. Like, anyways, so
why 2?
Basically they came in as it was kind of like a good cop bad cop routine. I felt like they came in and were like, hey, you guys can go now. And then they're like, okay, you guys are going now. We could take you all if you wanted. So it was super crazy. One of
the vans.
One of my favorite pictures was a soldier.
A soldier.
Well, that's what it looks like.
I've seen this picture. It's great.
A policeman is standing there as one of the mobile command units rolls in, and it's kind of it looks like a soldier standing by as a tank rolls in. It's super crazy. But I don't know. Like I don't think the police
make a great propaganda picture, by the way.
Oh, definitely. So if any
that wasn't your intention.
If any of you are looking for one, go ahead and call me up.
Yeah, we'll at the end of the show we will give out the address where you can see Mike's pictures at.
Yeah, they're I like some of them.
But anyway, continue with the story.
So the police are lining the south end of the park, right? And the protesters are in the park, and so it made this kind of line of policemen and like line of protesters. So kind of like going along with the action movie thing. Like it was a totally like like an X-Men, the beginning like X-Men where the two are like running at each other, and then there's like the people like running at the camera like in between them. That's how I felt, because I was like in between this like huge line of like cops with riot gear and crap and like this other line of like crazy protesters. It was super crazy.
It's like you're like in the middle of all this and you're just doing a project. That's the best part. It's just like a simple student project.
Oh yeah.
And look what this is turning into.
Oh man, I super loved it. So the first guy got arrested. They would only arrest people
conditionally or
his was because he started putting up his tent again.
Oh.
Like he had taken it down, and they said, and then he started putting it back up, and they're like, "Hey, you can't do that.
I'm going to put my tent where I want."
Yeah, and so they took him out, and he refused to walk, so they dragged him out. It was super crazy, but
he wasn't kicking or screaming or nothing. He was just drugged.
No, you know what? He did seem kind of off a little bit. I think he was kind of mumbling to himself, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So he got arrested, and so all the Occupy protesters just started. They were like, "We're gonna chant everyone's name that gets arrested."
Like
right?
they're some kind of martyr.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like that's kind of odd.
It was kind of crazy, and so this huge body of like, I think there was like 150, 200 people, like protesters there.
Okay,
and they're all chanting like this guy's name as the police like drag him out.
It's kind of like his name is Robert Paulson. That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was super crazy, and he had a long beard, and it kind of reminded me of the '60s actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, since we were talking about the hippies, so maybe they weren't so far off about that. But
yeah, maybe they weren't.
No, but a bunch of other people got arrested too. I got some pictures of like the media interviewing them. I got some pictures of. I uploaded one of a guy, like you can only see his back, and he's wearing like a flag, an American flag that has like 99 written on him. He was crazy, like I don't know. He would all of a sudden get this rush of like, I gotta do something, and he'd like stand up on a table and be like, "We are the 99. We stand for this, that, and the other." Which actually, you know why he didn't say that? Because they don't stand for anything specific. He was like, "We're not gonna go," and whatever, and he would start chants like,
"Oh boy,
this is what a police state looks like." This and is like what a police everyone's like,
you should have showed him your picture about the police officer with the tank.
Oh, he would have loved it. He would have loved it. I don't
probably
think
frame it.
I don't think.
I kind of want to frame it actually.
You should. I'll give you a copy.
Yeah.
I don't think he had time to look at my picture though. He was too busy getting arrested. So.
Yeah.
So, which he did. And
yeah.
Then, anyway, so that all happened. That all went down, and then, everyone was crying that they're going to stay there and never move. I think in the end, like 19 people got arrested.
Okay.
And you go back to Pioneer Park, and there's absolutely nothing there now.
Tell us about the very end with the Deus Ex Machina, so to speak. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I don't.
The limos.
Oh,
yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, no, go ahead. It's fine.
So
this is great. This is the highlight.
So the big thing, the big argument here was, the Occupy protesters are providing an environment where homeless people are not taking care of themselves and stuff. And so this guy, that's like a homeless activist guy. He's a guy that tries to take care of homeless people in Salt Lake. He shows up and he's like, "Hey, I've got this warehouse where I can take your stuff like temporarily for right now. And I've provided transportation for you to take all your stuff to that warehouse.
Okay.
So the police don't take it or ruin it or whatever." And so he was going to bring all their stuff to this warehouse. Well, it finally comes time for the transportation to come. And like 3 like stretch Hummer limos like roll up. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Is this some sort of like weird joke? But no, it was the guy's son, I guess, owns a limo business. And so he runs up with limos, Hummer limos that literally say like VIP limousine on the side.
Oh my god!
To take everyone's stuff. It was the most ironic thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's so funny because it's like, it's crazy because it's like they're protesting like capitalism and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And here they're being saved by someone who has a successful business.
Oh man, well,
it's ridiculous.
Not only being saved by a successful business owner, but like a business owner of limousines.
Yeah.
like a person that takes around people that are ridiculously rich.
Yeah.
And like can't afford to ride around in a normal car like the rest of us.
So yeah. So let's talk about the day that you and I went up to Salt Lake.
Okay.
Which was a crazy day in general. We don't need to get into details about like what happened before we got there. So what ended up happening is we ended up going to Salt Lake, both of us, because I was trying to get my Occupy interview, and Mike needed more pictures. So we ended up going up to Salt Lake, and there was no scheduled protest going on, but there was they were spray painting this like a van, like a how many passenger van? Like it was a big van.
Oh, it was a big van. I don't know, like a 15, 12
it
passenger
was
van.
Pretty good sized van, basically like the Occupy mobile. And we found this on their website. We're like, cool. So we went and checked that out.
Well, we called the guy first.
Well, yeah, we called the guy first.
Mark called the guy
who ran this store. And let's not get into that. I don't want to discuss that. I want to discuss like what happened when we talked to the people.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, definitely. So we walk in and it was kind of crazy cool. It was like a haven for spray painters,
taggers,
general, right? Like taggers.
It was cool.
It was just kind of like behind the store, and there's a bunch of cement everywhere, and it was all tagged. Like even the ground that you're walking on had these crazy like tags on them and stuff.
It was nuts.
And so I talked to these guys before, and so I just walked up to the first guy I saw and was like, "Hey, I'm here to take pictures, and is that cool with you? And what's your name? And how you doing?" Kind of a thing. And I thought it was kind of funny because I like when you would say like, "Hey, can I interview you?" Or like that wasn't exactly comfortable, but like I just kind of went into it and like started asking them questions, and they were really cool with it.
Yeah, they were cool just talking one-on-one. But like if I'm like, "Oh, hey, I want to interview you for this radio show or interview or talk to you," they kind of like look down and like scoff a little bit.
Yeah,
or it's like I'm trying to give a fair, unbiased story for my viewers, and they're like,
well, the trick is you just don't ask them. You just
I should, but I don't want to get sued or nothing.
Oh no.
But yeah, and so like it's funny because the main guy who was tagging the van wasn't associated with Occupy really.
No, he was just kind of like
he's just an artist.
He was like, yeah, I like the Occupy movement, whatever.
Yeah, but he wasn't like an active member, which was I found that interesting.
A lot of the people there weren't members of Occupy. They were just there for the spray painting.
Well, there was a few members. Most people there were just to tag.
Well, and it was kind of interesting when I told them I was gonna take pictures of people. They were like, "You can take pictures of me, just don't take pictures of those guys."
Yeah,
because that might get you into problems. If you know what I mean.
I remember that.
Oh, okay.
So as we went on, as Mike took more pictures, we ended up finding out that there was a new Occupy camp.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too far from where we were.
Uh-huh.
So we went over there later, and it was really, really interesting. Mike ran up with someone that he knew previously from a different Occupy protest who shall remain nameless. And Mike, just kind of tell him a little bit more about what happened. This is really interesting.
So before, when I told you that there were two guys that I talked about, and there may or may not have been the faint smell of marijuana with them as well.
Yeah.
One of those guys was there. I just kind of ran into him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, hey, what's up? You're here again. He had told me that he was going to go up to Occupy Ogden. He told me that there's some crazy situation there where they were like asking for people's food stamps and I don't even know what. So
that's nuts.
So he came back down, and so I'm like, hey, can I take pictures of you guys like in your little hut thing here?
And an interesting thing about the hut, there were two main huts, and there was a ton of tents. But the first main hut, like you could it was like white a little bit, like the coat, like the side, the tarp thing.
Yeah,
and it was a little bit clear, and you could see through it, like you could see the laptops. And stuff in there, and it's like, really, guys?
Well,
like,
there's a bunch of stuff in there.
The computer's set up, and I don't know. To me, it didn't seem like they're really moving the struggle with that type of thing.
Well, I wanted to go in, and take pictures, obviously, of
the
that place.
Yeah.
And so I knocked the door to walk in, and like they're kind of like, oh, and there's some scuffling, and then the guy that I was talking to walks out, and I'm like, hey, can I? And I don't know what I was thinking, but I just kind of like walk in.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, can I take some pictures in here? And like everyone's kind of like, oh, it's
real messy. Is
super
what they
messy
said.
in here,
and it didn't look messy though. Is the thing.
Well, what was funny was that they were like, you can go take pictures of the dome over there, which was their name for like their main tent.
Yeah,
and that was super dirty. Like, there's so much stuff.
Oh
over
yeah,
there. Like,
totally.
It wasn't, anyways, and so. The other guys who were there were like, "Yeah, no, don't take pictures of us right now."
Yeah,
and that's like all they said. And
then we saw like, all of a sudden we saw one of them grab something out of another one's hand. We couldn't see what it was. Move it and then like throw it away like super fast.
Yeah, it was. I was kind of like, okay, you guys do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was drug related. Just throwing that out there.
Definitely. So yeah, I took pictures of all the other stuff.
And the dome, it was funny that the main dirty dome had on the bottom of it, like it was like Occupy was like tagged on.
It was
the
like
bottom
tagged
of the
on
dome.
the bottom of it to, I don't know, just to say
this
is our place.
I know. I thought that was interesting,
but it was really cool. And from the, I don't know how many tents were in Pioneer Park before. There were, I think I heard somewhere they said there were like 150-ish people.
Oh wow!
But how many tents do you think? There was only like 10 there in the Gallery Center.
Yeah, there wasn't too many. It was maybe, I'd say 10 to 15.
Yeah, 10
15
to 15
tops.
Yeah, and on the side of the hut where we weren't supposed to take pictures in was a sign that was like, "We're still here, Occupy Salt Lake."
Yeah,
and I couldn't. I mean, I saw that sign and I was like, yeah. Really?
You're here, but
I don't know about that. They're kind of in a weird spot right now because of what happened. So.
Yeah, we got to wrap up soon. But Mike, would you mind telling us your blog address for this?
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. So just grab a pen and paper, whatever, and we'll mention it twice. So go ahead.
Yeah, it was for my class, and so it's just Curtis, CURTIS, VAPO 116 fall 2011.blogspot.com.
All right. Can you get that one more time?
Yeah. Curtis, VAPO 116 fall 2011 .blogspot.com.
All right.
You can check it out there.
Yeah.
I wrote a little explanation and I wrote some questions on each one of them, and didn't impress my professor, but I hope it impresses you. So or that you at least are interested.
Yeah, I saw the pictures and they were very amazing. So I'm very impressed. We got to wrap up, but if you guys have any questions or comments about the show in general, or possibly for Mike, send us an email or hate mail, as we always say as well. Send it to the MCS1show@gmail.com, and the number one is one in there is obviously the number one, not like spelled ONE. It's the number one. So the MCS1show@gmail.com. Drop us a line, and we have some really good letters. We might read them on the air. So final thoughts, Occupy. It's interesting because I tried to give him a fair type thing, and I was treated very poorly.
Yeah.
And, but we got some interesting stories today. We've had interesting experiences with them, but we'll see where they go in the next couple of months, whether they keep going or whether they go away.
Yeah. Frankly, I just thought it was funny that they were using Gandhi as their leader.
Yeah.
Like they were doing tags of Gandhi because they don't really have a leader, and I feel that's what's hurting them the most.
Yeah, it's what's going to be their downfall. Yeah. But that's our show. I just want to thank my guest, Mike Curtis.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
And have a good night, everyone, and stay safe, and don't go into occupied territory.
Or just be careful. You might get caught for drug.
Yeah, good night.